Irreducible complexity is not a god of the gaps argument. Irreducible complexity points to God, and this is not a god of the gaps argument. Irreducible complexity refers to biological systems that are composed of multiple, interdependent parts, where the removal of any one part would cause the entire system to cease functioning. Proponents of intelligent design argue that such systems point to the involvement of an intelligent designer. Critics, however, often dismiss this argument as a God of the gaps approach, claiming it merely fills gaps in scientific understanding with divine intervention. This critique, however, misinterprets the nature of the argument and its basis in positive evidence. In this video, we will explore why invoking God in the context of irreducible complexity is not a God of the gaps argument and how it provides a thoughtful and robust explanation for the origins of life's most intricate systems. What is irreducible complexity? Irreducible complexity is a concept introduced by biochemist Michael Behe, particularly in his book Darwin's Black Box. It refers to certain biological systems that are composed of multiple, well-matched, interacting parts that contribute to the basic function of the system. The key idea is that if any one of these parts were removed, the system would fail to function, meaning the system could not have arisen through a gradual process of natural selection acting on slight, successive modifications. Examples often cited include the bacterial flagellum, the blood clotting cascade, and the eye. The bacterial flagellum, for instance, is a complex motor-like structure that bacteria use to move. It consists of a rotor, a stator, a driveshaft, and a propeller. Each of these components is essential for the flagellum's function, and the removal of any one component renders the flagellum useless. Why the argument for God is not a God of the gaps argument? 1. A positive argument based on functional complexity. The argument for God based on irreducible complexity is not rooted in ignorance but in the positive evidence of complex, interdependent systems that cannot function without all their parts in place. Irreducibly complex systems, by their nature, cannot be easily explained by natural selection, which operates gradually and incrementally. The presence of such systems in living organisms suggests that they were designed as complete, functional units from the start. This is not an argument based on what we do not know, but on what we do know about how complex systems function and how they typically arise. In human experience, systems of interdependent parts, whether mechanical, electronic, or informational, are always the product of intelligent design. The argument posits that the best explanation for the origin of irreducibly complex biological systems is an intelligent cause, not a gap in scientific knowledge. 2. The argument is based on inference, not gaps. The argument from irreducible complexity is not about pointing to gaps in our understanding but about making an inference to the best explanation. The inference is that, just as complex, interdependent systems in human experience are the result of intelligent design, so too are the irreducibly complex systems found in biology. This type of reasoning is widely accepted in science and philosophy, where inferences to the best explanation are commonly used to understand observed phenomena. The argument does not rely on a lack of current scientific understanding but on the nature of irreducibly complex systems themselves, which are best explained by intelligent design rather than by unguided processes. 3. Challenges to naturalistic explanations. Naturalistic explanations for the origin of irreducibly complex systems often involve the concept of co-option, where existing parts of the system are repurposed for new functions. However, these explanations frequently face significant challenges, particularly when it comes to explaining how all the necessary components could come together in a way that provides a functional advantage at every intermediate stage. The argument for God is not an appeal to ignorance but a recognition of the limitations of naturalistic explanations. It suggests that the origin of such systems is best explained by an intelligent cause, rather than by unguided, incremental processes. This conclusion is drawn from the evidence of functional, interdependent complexity, not from a lack of alternative explanations. 4. The principle of sufficient reason. The principle of sufficient reason states that everything must have a reason or cause for its existence. When applied to irreducibly complex systems, this principle asks us to consider the sufficient cause for the origin of such systems. While natural selection and mutation can explain variations within existing systems, they do not adequately explain the origin of systems that require all parts to be present simultaneously to function. Invoking God as the source of these systems is not an ad hoc explanation but a reasoned conclusion based on the principles of causality and reason. It is a metaphysical argument that seeks to provide a sufficient cause for the existence of life's most intricate systems, consistent with the evidence of purpose and design observed in nature. The coherence of the argument. The argument that irreducibly complex systems in biology point to God is not a God of the gaps argument. It does not rely on ignorance or the absence of a natural explanation but on positive evidence of functional, specified complexity. The argument is rooted in the observation that systems of interdependent parts, whether biological or artificial, are best explained by an intelligent source, not by unguided processes. This argument is consistent with the broader philosophical and theological tradition that recognizes purpose and design in nature as indicators of an intelligent cause. It complements, rather than contradicts, scientific understanding by addressing questions that go beyond the scope of empirical science and delve into the origins and meaning of the complex systems that drive life. Conclusion. The argument that irreducibly complex systems in biology point to God is not a God of the gaps argument. It is not an appeal to ignorance or a placeholder for future scientific discoveries. Instead, it is a positive argument based on the complexity, functionality, and interdependence of the systems found in biological organisms. The argument seeks to provide a sufficient cause for the origin of life, consistent with the principles of causality, reason, and the evidence of purpose and design observed in nature. Rather than diminishing as science advances, the argument for God's involvement in the origin of irreducibly complex systems remains robust, addressing questions that go beyond the scope of naturalistic explanations. It represents a thoughtful engagement with one of the most profound mysteries of life and provides a coherent explanation that complements, rather than contradicts, scientific inquiry. Irreducible complexity points to God, and this is not a God of the gaps argument. Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe, and comment below if you agree or would like to add your thoughts. If you would like me to respond to your comment, please make a level 1 comment directly below the video. I will respond to all polite level 1 comments even if it takes me a while, due to other commitments.